The West Virginia Mountaineers are in the middle of spring practice. Rodney Gallagher is being talked about as a two-way player, offense and defense, for the West Virginia Mountaineers this upcoming season. Let's see what Neal Brown had to say about that and read a couple articles about it right after this word from our sponsor. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing. Only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. You have landed yourself here at another episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Really exciting stuff coming out of spring camp right now, guys. Neal Brown had his press conference, which he does every week now. And listening to it, I heard some really interesting things. I think a lot of people picked up on this, but probably the most interesting thing was when he started talking about Rodney Gallagher. Could Rodney Gallagher play both ways this coming season, similar to other players in the past that have been impact players on both sides of the ball? Well, this is what Neal Brown had to say on that very subject.
Yeah, like I told him in recruiting, like when we were going through the recruiting process, I can remember telling Big Rod this is he played corner in high school, and I used to give him a hard time because like he played over there and he never showed up in the picture, right? He was never getting tackles or anything. But what you could see is like he could play man coverage, like he really and he didn't spend any time on it, right? He was a raw football player in general, and he played most of his practice time was spent at corner or at quarterback. But there's so much, like when you're playing defense in basketball, and I watched Rodney play basketball just because he was so close. Number of legal times I could see him, I saw him. So I can't remember if that was, I think it's 3 times. But when, like, you play man in basketball against good people and you stay in front of them and you have this presence where you got to feel where you can always play man-meet ball, and he did that in basketball really well. Stayed in front of people. He wasn't a guy that crossed over, just naturally could stay and had really good ball. Like he had a lot of steals in basketball. And so that translated in 2 areas for me. Number one, I knew he had great ball skills, even though you don't see him catch a bunch of passes. I knew he had great change of direction, and he had skills where he could go over and play defense. And so what we've done is we're not really coaching him much. It's kind of one of these things where, hey, we tell him, like, hey, this is what you're going to do, and we meet with him for about 2 minutes, and he goes out there, and it's like, if he looked bad, then we just went, oh, just kidding, come back over, but he's looked pretty good. And so, like, we're teaching him a little bit now. And, like, he's an offensive player. Like, get me wrong, he's an offensive player. He's pushing to be a starter at receiver, and he's a guy that we want to get him the ball. Like, he had a great scrimmage on Friday, like really a great scrimmage. Like, was really excited about his growth at receiver in that scrimmage. But he's also a guy that, could potentially, if he stays, could give us some snaps at nickel. And maybe that doesn't put stress on us where we have to go find somebody else.
A two-way player?
Yeah, I think it's doable. I really do.
Wow. So that's pretty interesting development out of camp. To think that this program is in a spot or at a point to where they can tinker around with different things. Last year, and Neal Brown also said this in the press conference, the narrative surrounding last year. We were in a bunker, backs were against the wall, he was in the hot seat, right? It wasn't that long ago, guys. So I think, with this release of pressure, although there's a new pressure to win, the pressure to not lose isn't there, if that makes any sense. Obviously, you don't want to lose, but it's just 2 different kinds of pressure. So, interestingly enough, I think it's cool that they're able to tinker around with this. And it may flop, it may work, but I think it's great for Rodney to have multiple options. Maybe he pops on that side of the ball, guys. If he sticks around, like Neal says, we're talking. He's probably in that long term, by the way, because Rodney came out and said, "I'm not going anywhere." But like 2 years down the road, let's say he plays both sides of the ball the next couple of years and really gets good at it. You really start to think about a Travis Hunter comp, right? This is a kid that has the ability to be a number one wide receiver, or at least a number two, but he could be a number one. He could be a number one. He's that good in the slot, and he could go deep too. And then at nickel, obviously they play in the slot. And who do you cover in the slot? You cover quick, shifty players. Rodney's perfect for that, guys. Changing the direction. Everything Neal said was super on point. And obviously, and if you look at his tape from high school, absolutely the basketball hands are there with the great hands and the ball skills. So, and he's already developed a ton of that, guys, just being a receiver this year. If you watch some of the film they've released this year, when you get a chance to see Rodney on it, he looks terrific. He's running incredible routes. And what this is going to allow him to do, especially as he plays another season, he's going to be able to see the quarterback spot from the wide receiver spot and be able to predict, based on what their defense is, where the receiver should be going if he's making the right choice. He should be able to get jumps on balls. He should be able to get hands on ball, to read quarterback's eyes. And there's a lot of upside with this possibility. Let's read an article about it really quick. Rodney Gallagher III playing some defense in spring ball. Playing two ways in high school is very common due to the numbers most teams had. Doing it in the college level, though, that's rare. Travis Hunter at Colorado and years ago Miles Jack at UCLA are the two that come to mind as players who were able to do it successfully at high level. Hunter is considered one of the nation's best receivers while also being regarded as one of the top corners. Many scouts at the next level believe he could be a first-round pick at either position. Jack, on the other hand, was always viewed as more of a linebacker, and his reps at running back dwindled over his 3 years at UCLA. This season, we could see a West Virginia Mountaineer take on a challenging task of playing both sides, and on Wednesday, head coach Neal Brown revealed that sophomore wide receiver Rodney Gallagher III has been getting a look on defense. We've been messing around a little bit with Rodney on nickel defense because he got really good lateral quickness. He played defense at high school, but give him some flexibility there, and he's done pretty well. Is this just something they're doing for numbers' sake for spring ball, or is it an idea the coach is seriously considering? I think to be determined, Brown stated. I remember going through the recruiting process and I had to give him a hard time because he played corner in high school and never showed up in the picture. He was getting tackles. He wasn't getting tackles or anything. But what you could see is that he could play man coverage, and he didn't spend any time on it. He was a raw football player in general, and he spent most of his time at practice at quarterback. But don't worry, this isn't something that's going to distract or take away from Gallagher's development wide receiver. Neal was talking 6 or 8 snaps at most for Gallagher on the defensive side of the ball. Think obvious pass situations where Jordan Leslie would like to sub out a linebacker to get another defensive back on the field. He's an offensive player. The pushing can be a starter at receiver, and he's a guy that they want to get him the ball. He had a great scrimmage on Friday, like a really great scrimmage. We're excited about his growth at receiver, but also a guy that if he stays could potentially give us snaps at nickel. So, like I said, guys, this is really more of a projection for Rodney down the road just a little bit. But I really do believe you put kids that play ball and that make plays in positions to make plays, who knows, man? Those 6 or 8 snaps a game could easily turn into 20 or 30, possibly 40, if he starts making some plays. If he because Rodney is going to have a unique insight into this because he plays the other side. And like I said, when you play the other side, a lot of times these are choice routes based off of what the defense is doing, right? Well, he's already going to know that part, what the defense is doing. Now he's just got to guess based on the formation, what the receiver should be doing in this spot. So it really simplifies it for him. And once he's obviously got to learn the defense too and all that. But man, you talk about a high upside type thing here. I don't want to overblow it. It sounds like it could also be them just kind of putting him in there for the numbers side of things, absolutely. And it sounds like maybe they'd rather just go out and get somebody even. Who knows? But I kind of hope that this happens, right? It would be cool to have a two-way player at West Virginia that was really good at that. It doesn't happen often. So rooting for Rodney to get this done. I have faith in him, all the faith in the world, and I love his attitude, guys. We should, and we do, and I see we do all the time. We really need to embrace this kid who has chosen us that could have went anywhere. We're so lucky to have Rodney here on board with us, guys. I know you guys know that, but we sometimes I just need to say it out loud. So don't forget to like the video, guys. As always, feed the monster that we call the algorithm so that it spits my video out to other viewers like you that like college football. Don't forget to subscribe to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football and drop a comment below and let me know. What is your prediction for Rodney Gallagher this season? Do you think he's going to make it on both sides of the ball? Do you think he'll stay a receiver only? Give me your predictions for both sides of the ball, guys. I want to hear you guys tell me below. If he plays 6 or 8 snaps a game, what does he finish with on the defensive side of the ball? 20 tackles and a pick, 20 tackles and a sack, maybe an interception, 15 tackles. What do you think? And what is he going to do on the offensive side of the ball? Is he going to catch 30, 40, 50 balls, maybe catch 6 or 8 touchdowns? What could he do this year that could really project him into next year? It's exciting to think of the possibilities. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, guys. Don't forget to keep coming back. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. This episode is over. I'm out.
This is for Cameron. Tim Cal.